Trent, how are you?
Doing well, Mark. How are you?
Good, good. So as you know, I just finished a book, The Alchemy of Despair, all about transforming sadness and suffering into happiness and joy. And I want to chat with you because you have a great story that really illustrates both aspects of that, like the scenario. So first of all, I guess maybe you could walk us through your story of transformation, your dark place to your great place you are now, because I know a lot of people can benefit from hearing your story.
Thank you, Mark. That's really why I feel like I had actually gone through this process so that I can help others and also to see myself and others and where they're at in life and have more empathy and compassion. I went through a really challenging, difficult time in my life where I felt like I had lost my identity. I lost, I choose the word, had felt like I had lost my identity because I really hadn't. But I felt like I had lost my friends and my job and my home and a lot of things where I felt like I was in a place where I had nothing.
Right.
But what I found was it was actually just a transition. It was a beautiful, perfect place for me to be at, ultimately, over the period of time. And I always try and help others to understand and see that in the place of where they are,
Absolutely.
just a part of the process in the cycle. And so I really wanted to embody that, and when we ask to embody something to help others, we must first experience it ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
So I went through a very dark period of my life and was very depressed and practically homeless, living out of a friend's home, no money, and barely surviving. And now, at this time a year later, it's now been a year, living in a beautiful home that you see and have wonderful friends like yourself, and
Thank you.
And abundance is coming to me, and so it's been a beautiful process of finding that. And
Yeah, well, and so many times, and I think about this as in the sense that letting life tune you up, right?
yeah,
I think so many times people have to crash, and sometimes hard, in order to emerge like the phoenix, right?
Absolutely.
Come out of it and become a better version of themselves, and like shed off those old ideas that were holding you back at some level. So maybe talk about some of the thinking that maybe precipitated that dark space and contrast it with where you are now, if you can see the difference.
yeah, certainly. I would say, Mark, what I found the most is how I viewed myself. Back a year ago, I really put the view of myself on everyone else and who they saw me as. And at that time, it was a very good viewpoint. But I didn't hold that within myself, of who I saw myself as. I put it on everyone else and therefore didn't really hold on to what I believed in me. And that's what I found to be kind of the secret, the trick of where I'm at now, is I had to find my strength and love for myself in the darkest period of possible.
Yeah.
And through that, I've come to love myself unconditionally, which I really feel is the best thing that anyone can do. And really, that if everyone did that, their lives would change overnight.
Yeah.
And to love ourselves unconditionally where we're at and who we are, because we all are doing our very best. We're doing our very best every day in every decision we possibly can do. We're making the best decision possible. And so no one's really, I really don't think there's anyone that's trying to do harm to someone else on purpose. They're doing what they feel is best for themselves, and everyone needs the same things, and that's pretty much just love for themselves and love from others.
I totally agree. So you were living in a place where maybe you were putting your identity in the hands of others, or in others, I guess, stacking things in your life and building up a kind of an identity around you, but not within so much.
Exactly. And then when it fell, when it transitioned, then I was lost. I didn't know myself anymore.
Yeah.
Everything around me had wiped away, so I really had come to find that I didn't know. I was asking myself, well, who am I now?
Right.
Now that everything that I saw myself as was gone.
Right.
And now that I've found that part of myself within me, without anything around me, now I know for sure who I am. And so everything has now built from that portion.
When you built on you're building on a good foundation now then. I think that's a common story with a lot of people, is that their identity is outside and then it crashes because we can't control what's outside of us, right?
Yeah.
And it crashes and then they've got nothing, but like you said, that's ultimately a positive thing.
Right, exactly. Bouchard puts it well where he says, circumstances don't matter, only state of being matters. And he means it.
Okay, so you're saying the Bouchard quote.
So, Bouchard puts it really well when he states, circumstances do not matter, only state of being matters. And he means also in the physical sense of manifestation, creating matter. And that the circumstances around us don't actually create matter, or doesn't matter within us, but only our state of being. How we choose to see and view the circumstances is what matters to us internally, as well as also creates and manifests externally.
I like that.
So the way that we perceive the circumstance or the situation is also what's going to create the next manifestation of our experience.
It's almost like, I think of it as what is around us has already been manifested, right? And it's almost kind of fading away at this point, and so it continues to come out of people. So he's saying that your being is the point of the creation you should focus on, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. It is who we're deciding to be is the most important question that we ever ask ourselves.
Love it.
It's, who am I deciding to be in this moment? Who am I now? Who am I choosing to be when I see the homeless person asking for money?
Yeah.
Who am I deciding to be when someone's being a jerk to me? Who am I deciding to be when I hit a tough time?
Yeah.
And that's really why I've come to find myself, because of all the great masters that have taught us that. And that I started asking myself, instead of why is this happening, who am I deciding to be because of this?
Yeah.
Who am I deciding to be in this situation and this experience? And that started giving me power, because we do create everything that we experience.
Yeah.
And so when we take it to a point of why am I choosing to experience this situation, and then who do I choose to be from it?
Yeah.
Then it started to give me empowerment, and I was able to start deciding from there, rather than being a victim. Why is this happening?
Right.
It's more victim mentality.
Right.
We don't have any power in that. And
Right.
so from us knowing ourselves and who we truly are, we can come to a state of knowing we manifest everything.
Right.
Quantum physics even proves this now, so we're able to hold that a little bit stronger. And asking, why are we choosing to be this?
Yeah.
Who do we choose to be? Why did we create it, and who do we choose to be?
Yeah, and that ties in with what Eckhart Tolle talks about as, accept this moment, this experience as if you'd chosen it for yourself, right?
Yeah.
And that gives you all back the power. But I think so many times, and this is what I'm very interested in, is why people experience difficulties in dark times, because as we've talked about, no one in their right mind would choose to bring that on themselves.
Right.
But it can have enormous benefits. I've experienced it myself, you've experienced it, this super crash in order for a better you to emerge.
Yeah.
A more like conscious you,
Yeah.
a higher part of yourself.
Exactly.
So maybe that's why we do it to ourselves.
Absolutely. You put it in your book really well about that too, by the way.
Thank you.
What I see it as is it's just like everything in life gives us perspective. Everything in nature gives us understanding and gives us an example of what truth is. And we have night every single night, right? For our entire lives we've had night every single night, like clockwork. We can even time it down to milliseconds of how long we know night is going to be. But whenever night comes, since we know that's going to happen, we don't curse the night. Why night? Why are you here?
Yeah.
We just know it's a part of the cycle. Everything in life is a cycle, including life itself. So when we say, here's the darkness, this is necessary, this is needed, this is actually needed for there to be growth, just like in a plant.
Yeah.
There has to be nighttime in order for a plant to grow. There has to be darkness in order for us to grow.
Yeah.
So if it was light all the time, plants wouldn't grow, and neither would we. We'd be back in our light state, where everything was blissful and beautiful and peaceful and perfect, which ultimately is how everything is, but not why I believe that we chose to come to Earth
Right.
and live the human life.
Mm-hmm.
We came here to know ourselves more and expand within that contrast of darkness.
Right. That's such a good message for anyone who's in a dark space right now, that it needs to happen, and that it's a natural progression, because so much of society, is all about only be happy, only be, smiling all the time, and take pharmaceuticals if you need to, and do anything you can to always be happy. But that's like it deforms the human experience, right? It retards it in a way.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
It does, because no one's going to go through life with the perfect life. And I've found that, I have many beautiful friends that have had a lot of experience of darkness and become great, beautiful light beings from it, become great people that help the world because of their challenges and their life experience. They decide to go out there and have compassion. I highly recommend for anyone to read the book, The Two Little Stars and the Sun, by Neil Donald Walsh. And it's about two stars that go to God and say, God, how can we become big, bright, and beautiful? And God said, you must know yourself other than what you are. You must come to know compassion and acceptance and unconditional love. And they said, well, how do we do that? Everything's perfect. Well, there must be someone or something to give you that opportunity. And the star said, well, how do I do that? The other star perked up and said, I will be that for you. I will be that being that gives you the opportunity to have unconditional love and compassion. And so that would mean that star would have to be someone that would be we all have them in our lives, the jerk, or the person that's not very nice, or does really harmful things to us. And so again, back to why we're here is choosing who we are to be, and then expanding from that. Going through darkness, choosing to hold light, and still have compassion and unconditional love, and then expanding from doing so. And it's challenging. It's really challenging when we're in dark times and we're experiencing some dark people and beings, which are doing it perfectly. There's actually nothing wrong that they're doing within that. They're giving us a beautiful opportunity for us to decide to be who we are. So it's a beautiful thing that they are giving us that opportunity. So we also choose that in our lives. I want to go through a dark time so that I can expand more, give myself the opportunity and ability to choose who I really am, to choose that I'm a strong person, and I'm still this being, even though I felt like I've lost everything. Even though I've lost everything that I feel like I am, I still am.
Well, and they say, death is the ultimate loss, right? At least in our perception, is the stripping away of everything that wasn't really you. And so maybe these little death by 1,000 negative situations, right? Is like little stripping away, a little piece by piece, and so it can help us grow more.
I like that a lot. It really does feel that way. Where we're constantly shedding parts of ourselves, just like the cells of our skin. Every 7 days, not one single cell of our skin is the same it was. So, and that is created by what's called the neuropeptide, a neurological protein. Every thought and feeling that we have creates the cells in our body. It recreates everything within us. So we're literally physically creating ourselves with our thoughts. And we do the same with manifesting our reality. So we're constantly shedding ourselves with new thoughts of ourselves in our lives, right? So it's, to me, again, back to nature giving us examples, it's telling us we're constantly recreating ourselves.